call on September 2nd from the state of New Jersey stating that my son had an elevated lead level of 24. And
This is the plaintiff, Dwayne Scott. He says the defendants, his niece and her husband, damaged his apartment, tossed a chair through the window when they got mad about something, and owe him rent. He tried to help his niece out, was a good uncle, and this is how he's treated? Not right. Just not right. He has no choice but to sue, and is doing just that for every penny of the $2,570 he's owed. These are the defendants, David and Janet Patty. Janet says her uncle rented them an apartment which contained lead paint. Her 2-year-old ate it, and the housing inspector told them to move out immediately. She has no idea why her uncle would sue them for rent, because they're all paid up and have the receipts to prove it. Bottom line, they cause no damage. Her son has to be tested repeatedly for lead poisoning now, and they definitely owe the plaintiff nothing but a stern goodbye. They're accused of unhinging an uncle. The defendants have filed a countersuit for $3,000 for all they're out.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Dwayne Scott.
Yes.
You are suing your niece, Janet Patty, and her husband, David Patty, for $2,570 in rent and damages to the apartment that you say they owe you. You are counterclaiming against him $3,000 in losses and emotional distress as a result of the condition of the place. Mr. Scott, tell me what happened.
Okay. 4 years ago, they was getting evicted out of their apartment, and I took them in. I wasn't planning on renting my apartment out, but since he was family, I thought I'd trust them, do a good deed for them. So I brought them into my apartment, and during the course of the time—
Were they living with you?
No, it's a two-family house. My mother-in-law lives on the first floor, and upstairs was vacant. That's where I moved them into.
Okay, and you were living somewhere else?
Yeah, I live in another town, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I moved them into the apartment. So, I mean, the first year or so, he was paying on time. And things—
How much was the rent?
$600.
Okay.
$600 per month. So during the period of time, they was paying on time, for a while. But then after the second year, things started getting shady. September comes. I go up, not gonna do it. It was Labor Day, September the 5th. David opened the door, had his pajamas on. David, do you have rent?
And this is rent for September?
September, right.
Okay. So had he paid rent from August?
No, there was back $770.
Okay. So you ask him, what's the deal, and what does he say?
He said, well, Uncle D, I haven't had that. Uncle D, I didn't work that many hours. So then I'm like, here we go. I'm doing him a favor, and this is what happened. So what I done, I went and filed to have him evicted.
What day? I need to know. What day did you file?
September the 15th, because they wasn't paying rent. So court day comes, I go to court, and I was 10 minutes late, and they threw it out of court. So I went upstairs and filed to the judge, her secretary, and I gave our reason why I was late. So on October 13th. So they issue another court date. But by then, they decided to leave. But they left all their stuff in there. It was a wreck up in there. It was terrible in that place.
You mean they left absolutely everything, or they left some stuff?
A lot of stuff. I got the video, so I got a lot of stuff.
Let me see the video.
See. A lot of stuff.
Did they ever take that stuff out finally?
Yes, at the end of October, that's when they got everything out. Here's the video right here.
Yes.
Right here, you can take it.
Thank you.
The 9th, and I haven't gotten the keys yet. They still got all that stuff here. They ain't moved it out yet. Court date is on the 13th. Just want to show everybody what's going on here. That's how they living. Place was clean when they came in. That's how they gonna do it. A lot of stuff here they haven't taken out.
It'd be nice if you actually said the date. What was the date? The 13th of what? October?
October, yes.
Okay. So what's going on?
my aunt had passed the house that Dwayne owns. But, she passed in 2005, and it's been vacant since then. Only family has lived in the house. I've been there my whole entire life. Only family has been in the house. And he said, I'll rent it out to you guys. And we're like, oh, okay, great. We get there November 2010. The house has been in good condition when my aunt was there, but ever since, she passed and the house has pretty been vacant, constantly throughout the entire time we were there, we were saying, okay, can you fix this? Can you fix this? It's like pulling teeth just to get something minor. We can call
What happened
them.
in September?
The only reason in September, because, around that time, it's time for school, that week of beginning of school. So my son, he's 3 years old now, and he was going to be going to school for the first time. So, of course, there's blood work involved in that, testing, this, that, and the other. I got a call on September 2nd from the state of New Jersey stating that my son had an elevated lead level of 24. And lead level of 24. I said, okay, I panicked. Of course, any mother, because I didn't know anything about lead poisoning, how that works or anything. And they told me, it's imperative that you get him out of the house ASAP. I said, we can't
Was
do
there
that.
any chipping paint in that house?
Yes, I have pictures of the entire house.
Show me the chipping paint in the house.
I'm shaking.
That's the whole
I have it
all
labeled
pictures.
so
Okay.
you know what is.
So did they come in and actually inspect
Yes,
the
I
apartment?
have the inspection
And
report.
did it fail for lead?
Yes, terribly.
Okay.
You want?
I want to see that too. Why would you have your son staying in a place that looks like
That's
this
the
anyway?
ceiling.
It's disgusting. It's
And
full
we've
of
been
mold.
telling him-
There's mold everywhere.
Yeah. And we've
But
been
why
telling
would you?
him
I mean,
to
I
do
don't know
that.
how you didn't move out sooner. Why does it look like it's in this condition? I'm going to show you these. You
Okay,
tell me what
yes.
these are
I
pictures of.
would definitely tell you what they are.
And the lead inspector walked through the entire house, and after she went in the hallway and she saw the top, how the ceiling was crumbling, she didn't really want to go in the house, but she had to get the samples of the dirt and
And then they
dust
tested it, and they said there's lead
it's
in the
the
paint.
report. It's in the
So
report.
what happened? Did they?
They told us at the time, we're going to try to find you they called it a lead safe house. They told us, and I said,
How far behind were you on the rent at the time that this happened?
Just
I
for
did
September.
Because I
Okay,
used to
do
give
you
him
have proof that you paid?
I have
Because he
my-
says that you owed $770 at that point. Do you have proof that you had paid
I
that
have my
up?
receipts right here, Mel.
Is this your house that you were renting to them, the apartment?
Yes.
I mean, it's disgusting.
The
There's
ceiling-
mold everywhere. There's
No.
chipping paint, and the kid has lead poisoning.
Yes, the apartment got tested for lead, but also her mother's house next door, where he stayed 90% of the time, got tested for lead also.
That's
So,
not-
I'm sorry, your apartment
That's not
had
true.
lead paint
Our house
chipping,
is in perfect
and the
condition.
child lives in that apartment, and the child had lead poisoning, and your answer is that the child could have gotten the lead poisoning somewhere else. But the place gets tested, and your place definitely had lead poisoning. So what is your answer on why you think that people would have to pay rent for a place that you can't rent because it got shut down for lead poisoning?
I wasn't planning on renting. I didn't know that it had lead in it, Your Honor.
Okay, but now you know because you got the report.
Right.
So if you can't collect rent on the place because it's a poison pit, why would I make them pay the rent?
What?
You have a counterclaim again, and you're also suing for damages to the apartment, $600 in damages to the apartment.
Yes.
Tell me what they damaged to the tune of
Okay.
$600.
In both of the bedrooms, their son, 8 years old right now, he threw a chair through the window. I asked, who broke your window? Broke that window also. I have pictures of that. Broke both the windows.
So, all right, is that true?
No.
No.
My son, he lives in in one of the bedrooms, actually.
How
And
old is the other son?
3.
So you have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. So who
Yes.
told you that chairs went through windows?
My brother-in-law, Glenn.
Is he here to testify?
You just
You
said
just said my
3-year-old.
son told you.
Didn't you say her son? And then now you realize the guy's 3 years old.
Yes,
The little
I did.
tyke is 3
I
years
did.
old,
I
and so
did
the
say-
3-year-old
Just
said,
turned 3.
Look,
just stop.
Okay.
You're suing him. You're counterclaiming against him $3,000. Most of that is emotional distress. Okay. Let's talk about the other items that you're suing for.
Sure.
2 days of lost wages.
Well, because I have 2 court documents. I mean, not documents,
Okay.
but he took me to court on 2 different occasions. The first
What
time,
are the 2 dates?
October the 13th, and the second one was November the 17th. The one on October.
And what was the date that the state said this
September
place has
2nd.
dangerous levels?
September 2nd.
Okay, so I understand you're suing for 2 days of court because you feel that you shouldn't have had to go to court
He
for
didn't
him
show
suing
up.
you for a place he now knew had lead. Okay, I have a question for you. You're suing for $350 in moving fees and $139 in storage fees
Right.
for months after you already know that you need to find a new place to live. The man's not entitled to rent in a lead-based home, but you're not entitled to free storage either.
Can I
Okay,
say-
no,
okay, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't get rent
I'm
at
sorry.
at a place that made their kids sick. You get,
Can I-
and you know what you when you make your grandnephew sick, you probably don't sue his mother for rent. I don't know, call me crazy. Like, maybe the idea that the kid had 24 something of, what was it, 24 what?
24.
Was he exhibiting any signs of
It's overactiveness. He still has to go to the hospital every 2 to 3 months.
Maybe. Now, here's the thing, too. This is a place you grew up in, right?
Yes, my whole life.
You were there a lot.
35
You see
years.
these conditions. I don't know that a mother and father who allow their 3-year-old to be around chipping paint from an old place that you know how old it is are blameless in this.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, can this landlord charge them any rent as long as they're dangerous levels of lead?
No, I don't think so. I think children...
They live there. No, they're still living there.
They're still living there.
Well, yeah, if they live there, do they have to pay anything if the lead's so bad that it makes the kid sick?
Well, they have to pay something.
That's the question. Do they have to pay anything?
I don't think they should be required to pay any rent at all.
Because?
Because it's dangerous and it's illegal also, correct?
Boom. I think you got a point there. Going inside the courtroom.
I'm not sure that you can turn around and say that he tried to hurt your baby and you had no idea. I think that all of the grown-ups needed to have been a little more responsible about what is going on here.
Yes.
In any event, on your claim against them for rent, I find that they don't have to pay rent for a place you can't rent. Call me crazy. And as for damages, I find that the place was a dump. And it needs your love and attention or you can't rent it out.
He sold the house
okay?
already.
And I am not going to order them to pay for damages to a place that you can't prove they did. First, it's the 3-year-old told me. Then when you realize I'm asking, how old is that kid? 3. Oh, my brother-in-law told me. And nobody's here to testify to any of the things you're talking about. On your counterclaim against him for $3,000 for lost wages and storage fees and moving expenses and emotional distress. No on the emotional distress for the reasons we've already talked about. You have eyeballs, okay? And you had adult responsibilities, okay? No on the moving expenses and storage fees because once you know you can't live there, you gotta go, okay? And as for the lost wages, I'm actually thinking about that, but then I realize you left your stuff there for 2 months, all right? And I think that ends up being kind of a wash. So on his lawsuit against you, 0. And on your lawsuit against him, it's a wash, so also 0. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Well, zeros on both sides of the scoreboard. Step on over a little closer here. Come in and tell the audience here what you think of the outcome here on this ruling.
I thought the outcome was totally crazy because they was lying their butts off, big time.
Yeah.
Big time lying off. Lying big time, and I totally think it was unfair. But it's okay. It is what it is. If they was man enough and late enough to come to me and communicate about the whole situation, it would never happen, but they couldn't do it. So it is what it is. I'm just glad it's over with.
That's your niece over there.
Yeah, it is my niece. Yeah, it sure is, but a lying niece. But that's okay, though. It's over with, and I'm done with it. That's fine.
And any defense of the condition of that place? I mean,
Yeah, it was.
that poor sick kid and
Let me tell you
everything.
something.
Come on.
The house next door where their parents live at has lead paint also.
Oh, so that's fine.
The kids are there all the time. So,
All right, so head right down.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so all right, you stored your stuff there, so that all came out even too. So what's going through your mind here now?
I've never met such a vindictive, manipulative, lying person in my life, and I'm just sad to be related to him right now. He's blaming my 3-year-old for everything, and it's just terrible that a slumlord is a slumlord. You can't do anything about that. So just don't rent from him because he doesn't take care of the house even that his mother was standing.
family.
It's family. So, and you see how family treats you?
How's the kid?
He's still, he's getting better, but apparently that's not an issue right now for him. He's just worried about money. So see what that is.
All right, Harvey, what do you got?
Okay, every single lease has something, and this is a technical term, it's called a warranty of habitability, which basically means that you have a right to live in an apartment or house that is free of danger, of safety, or health violations. In this case, no doubt in the world that this place was terrible. I mean, to have dangerous levels of lead and mold, sorry, it violates that warranty. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, John Avila. He says the defendant did some tree work on his neighbor's property and drove a big rig onto his grass, causing damage, and now won't compensate him for it. He tried to reason with the stubborn man, and all he got in return was a threat. He's tired of dealing with the lunatic and is suing him for the $260 he's owed. This is the defendant, Jeff Buchanan. He says he's been in business 37 years, thank you very much, and he knows how to take care of his customers. He went over to take a look at the plaintiff's property after he complained and didn't see any damage. The plaintiff's acting like an irrational child, and there's no way he's going to pay for something he didn't do. He's accused of lousing up a lawn.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says the defendant's a tree guy who drove his rig onto the plaintiff's property and damaged the grass, but the defendant says he inspected and there was no damage. It's the case of ignorance of the lawn is no excuse.
Thank you, Douglas. John Avila, you are suing Jeff Buchanan Enterprises Incorporated, represented here by the owner, Jeff Buchanan, for $260, a cost that you say you had to pay to repair your lawn after they damaged it. You are the landscapers for the property next door to him?
The tree service contractor for the next door property.
What's going on?
Well, at the end of August of last year, I was involved on a restoration project in my front lawn area with the city.
What's that mean, a restoration project on your front lawn area with the city? What's
I was given a notice of violation.
That's not with, you're not with the city. The city really doesn't care. They're not your partner in this. They're just like, fix it up. All right.
Yeah,
is
so
this where you live or is this a rental?
It's a rental property.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a notice of violation and a fine of how much?
There's no fine. I just had to get it fixed. I had 2 weeks to get it fixed. So I involved a landscaper. We had the fix involved new sprinkler system, some rototill, seed planting. And
what's rototill?
That's where you dig it, you rototill the lawn, you plant the seeds. You know.
So rototill is like what's rototill?
The top layers.
The top layer, just kind of with this like these teeth, this rolling thing.
Rototill is a turning of the soil.
Okay, a turning of the soil. Okay, go on.
And then some drought-tolerant landscape, which is rocks around a certain area.
Yeah.
And so we started on the project, and about the week, so that was the end of August, so the week of September 9th, we were about 80% completed. All we had to do the following weekend is lay in the PCV the pipe for the sprinklers, fit into the schedule.
Okay, so then what happened?
So then I was at the dentist on September 9th. I get a call from my tenant saying that someone had parked a large rig on my lawn with stabilizer bars and was pulling around the yard trying to find a position to cut the trees next door.
Ah.
Yeah, so I left the dentist and I went to the property and saw his crew and asked him who gave him property to park the rig and move the rig on my property.
Who gave him permission to park their rig on your property?
Yeah, and who gave him permission to cut all the garbage down in my yard and block the driveway.
Wait, garbage down in your yard, what does that mean?
Tree branches from the adjacent property.
Well, okay, so they were falling in your yard?
They were cutting them down under my driveway.
When you say cutting them into, they're cutting them and not catching them.
Right.
So they are trespassing, and the rig is trespassing, and the branches for the moment are trespassing.
The branches
they
are
haven't left
trespassing,
yet.
if that's
Okay,
possible,
go ahead.
yes. And they were also blocking the driveway. So my tenant comes out, and he asked, first of all, when he asked them, how long are they going to be, who gave them permission, they didn't know. So they called me, I went over to the property, I talked to the crew, and they had no idea. No one gave them property to go on the go on the property.
No one gave them permission.
Permission to go on the property.
Those are two different words.
Right.
Okay,
no one gave
permission to go on the property. Go ahead.
So then I called Mr. Buchanan and left a message, went back to my house. He called about a half hour later. Denied any wrongdoing.
What did he say?
He said, first of all, I asked him who gave him permission to park on my lawn. He said he didn't have my phone number. So then he said that,
That's who gave him permission? Okay.
So he said, there's nothing wrong with your lawn. It looks terrible. We didn't do anything to your lawn. It's just, we had nowhere else to park the rig. And he says, I could take a pickaxe to it and I can show you that we've not done anything to your yard. So
meaning what?
Meaning that he was threatening to tear up my lawn, my front lawn.
No. What did he, well, I don't know. That's one way to look at it. The other way is what? What did you mean when you said I could take a pickaxe?
The ground had not been rototilled, prepped for sod or seed.
Meaning that it was rock solid.
Yes.
So your point was to tell him, hey, no harm, no foul. Why did you park on a man's property without his permission? I didn't have his phone number. Really?
We've parked there on a regular basis with permission from his tenants. We've worked at that property for
Really? Because the tenants are the ones
years.
that took him out of the dentist's chair. So apparently the dentist didn't like, the tenants, those are two different words too. The tenant didn't like
So if this guy had permission in the past, does it give him permission to keep doing it in the present?
No.
So he has to get permission every single time?
Yes, I would think so. Yeah.
What do you say? Every single time? Or if somebody gives you permission once, can you keep going back and doing it?
Every time. You should ask every time. It's personal property, and if you're damaging it...
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
What authority? Each and every time you have to have authority, you have the right to park. How big is your rig?
It's a 26.
Do you have a picture?
I have pictures.
20 what?
26,000-pound aerial lift.
Oh, that's nice. How do you know that the guy didn't just put a new sprinkler system that you're destroying, or a septic tank, or something like that? What right do you have to just park your rig wherever your rig feels like being? That's not okay.
We've asked permission.
In the past. Did you ask permission
tenants.
this time, sir?
I don't know if the crew got permission.
Okay,
or
well,
not.
do you have evidence that you received permission this time, yes or no?
No.
Then you are a trespasser. Now there's a second question, which is, what are the damages? Because in every lawsuit, there are two questions.
Mm-hmm.
One was a wrong committed. Clearly, a wrong was committed. The second part is, how wronged you do me? So now you need to explain to me, because according to him, the thing is you're in the process and you haven't done anything. According to him, I'd like to see pictures, because I need to hear it from. I need to see evidence, not just flapping gums from a litigant.
I have evidence here. I have some pictures.
Good.
He drove the rig around the yard and settled in one place, the best place to cut the trees. So that's
right. The place that was good for him. Right. Okay. What is this? I think I'm gonna need you to come here, please.
Okay, sure.
And show me what I'm looking at in each picture. So, right there. All right. That's the rig?
Okay, that's the rig, yes.
Oh, it's enormous.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had some seeds planted over here, some lawn seeds in certain areas, and they were just, the lawn was scraped when they pulled this on somehow. So it looks like they're...
Are you only, can I see some area that wasn't purportedly damaged? Because what he's going to say is the whole place looked like that, Judge. He hadn't done anything yet.
Well, I don't have pictures of it prior to...
Well, no. Are you suggesting he drove around every inch of your property and scraped every inch of it?
I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting he ruined somehow.
That's right, that he ruined some of it, right?
Right.
The parts he touched.
But not every inch
Can you
of it.
show me anything he didn't touch in the pictures so that I can see that, in fact, something had been done? Because when you look at this, it doesn't look like stuff has been done. You understand what I'm saying? So, do you have any evidence from the folks that you had hired?
Well,
like just something to buttress your case?
Just some receipts, the receipts that I paid for the work.
That's good.
Yeah. So
why are you suing for only $260 if you paid 80% so far? Because that's all it costs to redo?
That's all it costs to repair.
Do you have the bill for that one?
Yeah, they're right there.
What day was he on your property?
The 9th.
Of September?
Yes.
Is there any dispute about that, sir?
No.
Okay. So he has a bill from September 4th that charges him $730, as his testimony was, for cleanup, $50, seed and topping, $150, and irrigation sprinklers, $530. Then you plant yourself on his land on September 9th. Everybody's in agreement on that. And then on September 16th, he gets an additional bill of $260. Why on God's green acres are you fighting this?
I have submitted video evidence for you to see, Your Honor, that will show the condition of the property at approximately 11:30 when our trucks were off the property. He called me at 10 o'clock.
Let's see it. I want to see it.
He called at 10, and I was at site at 11:30 to see what's going on, because I always meet my problems straight on. I don't try to avoid things. And when people try to cheat me out of something, that's when I dig in my heels. I have 3 videos on there, Your Honor.
Okay.
One of them shows at approximately 11:30, right after I got there. I videotaped what was going on.
Okay.
And then a couple weeks ago, I went back after I was served. So I went down back to his property and videotaped on a rainy day what it looked like after that.
Hold on, because I want to hear.
There's no evidence of any rotor tilling, no evidence of any new installation of sprinklers. All the trenches are wide open. There's nothing here that indicates anything for a brand new lawn. The ground is hard on the ground. You can't even get it in the ground. He's saying that this area was recently rotor tilled and overseeded. If you look at the dry cracks in the lawn area here, there's no evidence whatsoever of any fresh lawn.
You know you're trespassing again while you're taking the video?
He messed it up.
I'm at 1
And then you trespass and you hit his thing with...
Videotaping the brand new lawn. The property owner here says we damaged this brand new lawn and that he had to pay an additional $260 to have this lawn repaired. Of course, it's raining today. stand back so you can see the tree that we were trimming. Just adjacent to his property.
If you can't use another man's property for your rig, you need a bigger rig, right?
Reach over above. It's a 60-foot man lift. Reach over above the telephone cables and
Could you have done that this day, or no?
We wouldn't be able to reach the entire amount of the tree.
So the answer to my question is you'd have to rent a bigger rig, which is very expensive for the homeowner or you. But just because it's going to cost you a lot doesn't mean that you get free reign of somebody else's property. That's just how it goes. Based on what I'm looking at, I am satisfied that there's $260 in cost to repair lawn damage. I understand what you're saying. This lawn is not like a beautiful lawn. If the guy was suing for $2,000, I'd be, all he's suing for is the additional bill he got after you left, which is for stuff that was in the original bill. And you have a blatant trespassing. You guys are on clear notice now. The man does not want your 26,000-pound rig on his property anymore. So whatever incredibly expensive way it's going to be, too bad, so sad for the homeowner, okay? I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the $260. That's my verdict.
Well, he dug his heels in, but you kind of slid back a little there. The heels kind of slid in the mud there. What's your reaction to what the judge said? You lost this case because of a trespassing issue.
I disagree because in my state, in California, it's a legal trespass to enter somebody's front yard. You don't have to have permission. To park the vehicle, yeah, maybe. But as far as
that's what we're talking about. In the vehicle.
In the future, we're going to trim that tree again, and where the limb's going to fall. So, it's probably a good thing that we did get in there right in the early stages of his, city mandated.
You're going to park that vehicle on property that's not legal in the future, or are you going to ask next time?
We always ask if there's somebody to ask.
Okay.
Sir?
And if there isn't,
thank you.
They just do it. Right. Well, what's your feeling? You only sued for $260. Why?
That's all it costs to repair the lawn. I'm not out to gouge anybody. I just want fair compensation for what I paid out. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Were you trying to teach this guy a lesson?
I absolutely was. I don't want him to do it again next time, because if I didn't come here, if I didn't file a suit, he would have did it the next time.
He says the branches are going to fall down on the property next time.
Well, if he calls me beforehand, we can work something out. I can give him permission to go on my property. I don't have a problem with that. He needs to ask. It's a matter of common courtesy.
Okay, what do you got, Harvey?
Okay, clearly, judging from the hallway, this defendant has not learned his lesson. He is going to get screwed. He will be nailed if he keeps doing this, and frankly, I hope he does. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Abayomi Akinle. He says he brought a car to the defendant for simple oil change, and his engine was ruined. When he brought it to the defendant, his car was perfectly fine. He now has a blown engine, and it's all the defendant's fault. He's suing for $4,230.64, the amount he needs to put in a new engine. This is the defendant, Rich Intel. He says the plaintiff's trying to blame him for the blown engine on a car that's almost 16 years old. That's right. He changed the oil and the filter, and now the plaintiff's saying he made a mistake, and that's why the engine blew. Well, he's done his research, has done everything by the book, and simply owes this man nothing. He's accused of blowing it with a customer.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff brought his car to the defendant for repairs and says when he got it back, the engine was blown. But the defendant says the car's 16 years old, so give me a break. It's the case of your repair shop blows.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Akinle, you are suing NYTF Discount Outlet Incorporated and New York Tire Factory Incorporated?
Correct.
For $4,230.64 in repairs that you say you had to do to your vehicle because they did an oil change and put in the wrong filter. And according to you, that made your engine blow, correct?
Correct.
What happened?
Well, on August 18th, I took my car to the establishment. It's a place I've been to before. It was kind of busy in there. Finally I was able to speak to the general manager. They brought my car in. The guy did the oil job, and as soon as I come out the shop, I get down about 3 to 4 blocks, and the engine started making a loud noise. I didn't know what it was initially, so I turned it off. I waited maybe 10, 15 minutes. I figured maybe the oil has to settle or something.
No, loud noises are not good. There's no good reason for a loud noise. So then what did you do?
Finally, I turned the engine back on, and the noise, it sounded even worse. It sounded like there was a jackhammer underneath my hood.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not oil settling in. So what'd you do?
So I bring the car back to the place, to the establishment. I spoke to the general manager, and even then, he sort of acknowledged that somehow, someway they messed up. Because the guy was saying, how can I make this right by you, et cetera, et cetera. Then he goes as far as to say, you know, a new engine is going to cost you around $1,200.
Wait, I'm sorry. So in 4 blocks, your engine blew?
Yeah, basically.
All right, and you brought it right back, and then they tell you who is it you speak to?
I believe it's the general manager.
Do you see the person on that side of the?
No.
Okay, so you speak to somebody you think is a general manager. You remember his name?
David.
David. Is David here?
No,
Do you have a David?
He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with you?
Correct.
Okay. Because of this?
No.
Okay. All right. So, and David, according to you, seems to be acknowledging that by saying, how can we make this right? Which could also be just a way of calming up somebody. I don't know. But anyway, so what happened?
So the guy was telling me that a new engine is going to cost around $1,200, et cetera, et cetera. And I tell him, look, you guys botched our oil job. What makes you think I'm going to trust you with an engine job? So I had to end up getting my car towed from that establishment to my mechanic. And
But if you have another mechanic, why were you having stuff done with them?
it was just an oil job. It was nothing mechanical.
All right, so you towed the car to the mechanic, and who's the mechanic?
This man right here.
Okay, come on up. What do you do for a living?
I do mechanical work. I work on cars. I do security. Do a couple things.
You do security?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are you what we call an alley mechanic, or are you a mechanic full time?
Well, in between.
Okay, go ahead.
So first thing I do, I pull the dipstick out. Dipstick got gooey. The oil and the water mixed. Okay, I put the stick back in. I goes into the bottom of it. Look at the filter. So I took the number off the filter, and I called to the parts store to ask what is the actual filter for the car. The filter doesn't even match.
So you've concluded that based on what somebody told you on the phone? Is that right?
And then I went to the parts store myself and actually looked on the computer with the person.
Okay.
And
do you have the printout from the computer?
Yes.
Okay.
I have it here. That filter, that oil filter that was installed on the car from the gentleman's over here's company, that's like a generic version of an oil filter. The size doesn't even match.
Okay. You apparently took some video of the things you're saying, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. Is that the noise of the engine?
Yeah. I actually cranked the car up, and I actually did a full inspection of the car. That's the motor tapping because of the oil and the water is mixing. And that's the dipstick. Protect the oil. Here. Now it goes into the bottom of it, and they go to oil filter. It's not the right one.
Why is it not the right one?
Because it's smaller.
Okay.
It's not the
Let
correct.
me hear from you.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to defer to Patrick, but I just want to say one thing. Full fabrication. Okay? Nothing that I just heard is exactly what happened. And I'm going to allow Patrick to tell the story.
Let me hear from you.
All right, for starters, I've been in the lube industry for about over 15 years.
In the what industry?
The lube industry, working in the lube shops, quick lubes.
Yep.
I've been using the same brand filters that we use at New York Tire Factory for about.
What's the brand?
Mighty.
Okay, how do you find out which filter, whether it's generic or the one made by Chrysler?
We get catalogs, up-to-date catalogs, filter books that we look up the oil filters, and I have it right here.
Okay, and what does your catalog say this car, which is a 2000 Chrysler 300?
3600. The Chrysler 300s, I know what he's talking about. They used to call for a bigger filter. They narrowed all the filters down now. They crossed it from using a 4670 to 3600s. There's no more 4670s. Those big filters, they don't make them no more. They all make 3600s. And those are compatible for all Chryslers.
Okay,
any car
so you say it
application.
is and you say it's not, and I need you both to show me what you've got that says it is and it's not.
This says it right here. If you look,
So, but what do you think happened? Because the guy says he walked in for an oil change and the car was fine, and then he walked out of an oil change and the car was not.
The car came in initially for an oil change. I was on the far bay. I heard the car coming in because I heard the motor knocking when it came in.
So you're saying it knocked just like that when it came in? You think he's trying to set you up and make you guys pay for a new engine?
I'm not saying that exactly, but I know the car came in for an oil change. So you came in to get an oil change for a reason, thinking that's going to help the knocking go away or the tapping go away.
Yeah, like the kind of guy who thinks that if you you keep driving, maybe the oil will settle and it'll stop making the noise.
All right, so the car, we did the oil change. The car left with the same noise that it came in with. Came back a little while later.
Did that car have that same noise coming in?
No, it didn't have it.
I don't know. So what filter is it supposed to be?
This is the filter that they install on the car.
Okay.
This is the correct filter that goes on the car.
Okay. Let me see both of them.
Different in size.
Okay. Which is the correct size?
The Fram.
Right. Which is the correct size?
It's a 4612.
No, 4612 is for Nissans. You could ask me any.
That's a
any,
PH16
give me a car.
right
I'll tell
there.
you the oil filter for a car. That's how long I've been doing this.
So the engine blew right after he got it back. Does the plaintiff have a case?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't know? Why do you say?
I would say he has a case. I mean, if they said it was fixed and it was fixed and he paid for it.
It's a 16-year-old car.
It doesn't matter. If he's paid for a service, it should be taken care of.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
Okay. 2011 Mercedes.
M968.
What model?
I don't know. That's what I thought he was going to ask.
That's an M968.
Possible.
This is what?
That's a PH16.
And according to you, it's a what?
If you cross that, it's a 4670. It comes up, but they don't no longer make 4670 filters.
Okay, but hold on. If I cross that with what?
Cross-reference. Like if you cross-reference in the back of the Mighty book, it'll cross-reference to a 3600.
And what is this?
That's a 3600. That's what goes on there.
And that's what he's saying doesn't go on there.
Yeah, the size of the filter doesn't count. It's the spindle and what's inside.
What's the spindle?
In the middle, where it screws on.
Right, because when I'm looking at these two...
And the gasket lines up, they're the same. If you look at the gaskets, they all line up.
You're right. Can he approach the bench and show you?
They line up fine.
Come on up.
Come on up. Go up, Patrick.
Thank you, sir.
Right here. This is what counts. See how far that goes in? That's the same thread. Same thread. The look of the filter is not what counts. It's what's inside the filter that counts. Mighty used to make the same size filters the same way. What they do, they cut everything down now. What they do, they use a 3600. If you look in the book, if I bring you the book here, anything that's used to call for a 4670 is now a 3600.
Okay, so the book you're showing me is the book for Mighty.
It's the book for Mighty,
which is
that's correct.
the brand you guys use.
Yes, we do.
And the book for Mighty says that the 2300M Chrysler takes a 3600, which is exactly what is here.
That's not even a real filter. That's a generic version of the real filters.
I've been using those.
No, that's not true. I got
This is
that's day stuff.
Okay, stop. You can't say this is a pretend filter. It exists. And according to its manufacturer, it's exactly the one for that car. You are showing me, or Judge, it's not, by showing me a page that I can, it's kind of hard to read,
Yeah.
but this is, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
But this is, what brand is that number? Because that's also not what you put on it. So what exactly is that? Is that in Fram? Is this Fram's book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well, no,
what
at the top of the page, they have all different names of the all filters at the top.
Okay, well, do they have Mighty's name there?
No.
Okay, then they don't. Then you don't know that he used the wrong Mighty filter. So based on what I'm listening to, my verdict in this case is for the defendants.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Let's get a little more from the plaintiff here coming out of the courtroom on the losing end, obviously, of this case here. What's going around in your mind there?
I know. It's a shame. She really didn't listen, and it just wasn't my day. Justice wasn't served, but, they'll get theirs one day.
Well, you just weren't able to prove that was the wrong filter there.
She didn't want to really listen. Kept cutting me off, but, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. All right, head around the corner this way with the equipment there. Yeah. All right, step on in here and did you feel like you were heard?
Yes, we were heard. We won. Mm-hmm. We did nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm. What's his complaint here?
His complaint is that his engine blew and it was not our problem.
You think he's just trying to hit you up for an engine? What do you think?
More than likely, yeah.
Don't ask me any questions. Let me ask him something. 2008 Jeep.
2008 Jeep, 3600.
I go with that.
Harvey?
Kurt, these cases are determined by experts. The plaintiff's quasi-expert was no match for the defendant.